So the past couple weeks, if you watched my recent video regarding Boruto, I said I wasn't feeling the Boruto anime. You know, last week, the Sarada with the stuffed bear, I was like, what? The week before that was okay, the Iwabe and Denki episode, it was alright. But this week's episode, it was still in the same vein of what they were doing with the last couple episodes, in a sense of like, it was slice of life, you know what I'm saying? We didn't get into no major plot, which thankfully, based on the preview, next week we're finally getting into some serious good shit based on the Naruto Gaiden manga. So I'm really hyped about that too, because that's based on Kishimoto's work, and Kishimoto's the original creator of Naruto, so it's gonna be some cool shit to finally see that animated. But this week, opposed to last couple weeks where, again, I just wasn't feeling it, I actually really thought this episode was nice. It wasn't a great episode or anything like that, but it was nice, and one of the big reasons, personally, why I think, well, two of the big reasons why I think it worked better than past couple weeks is, well, one, it mainly focused on a character that we know, love, and genuinely 110% thoroughly give a fuck about, Naruto, but also, it has this, you know, tons and tons of content of years upon years backing it that makes you feel that much more emotional and care about what's going on regarding, like, you know, you just see the little Naruto and so many different things that like led up until this point. If you didn't have all that context of like years of material, you wouldn't give a fuck about this episode. But since we do have Naruto Shippuden, and of course if you read all the manga as well, like you got a lot of fucking content that you've seen prior to this that makes you care about this episode. And again, it goes back to, we care because it focused solely on, well, not solely, but majority on Naruto and of course his relationship with Boruto. And I think even though it does feel as though the first half of this episode is like, we've seen this in the OVA, what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had no material. It was very fitting leading into the Naruto Gaiden stuff and leading into the future because, again, we've seen, and up until this point as well, we've seen as well, that Boruto's big issue, well, one of his big issues, is the fact that his father's not around. And this episode dealt with just that, and it kind of gave us the catalyst to Boruto becoming who he is. You know, you see in the beginning of the episode, which again, it goes into the OVA stuff, and I won't talk too much about it because I think I reviewed that shit twice now in anime form and in manga form, but you see that he had a really fun life with his father. He was loving being with his dad, you know, he jumped on him to wake him up, and it was always fun times and shit like that. And then you see now, he's not really around. So if you look at Boruto as a character, he's missing a piece of him. You know what I'm saying? He's missing what he had, and it's not there anymore. His father ain't around no more. So I understand him, and you know, it's funny that we ridicule the character and shit like that and say, because of course, you know, Naruto went through hell and back. That's not a big problem, but that's still a problem nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that in the world we live in, where there's so many kids that don't have, you know, their mom or their dad or both, or they're orphans and shit like that, you would think people could resonate a little bit more with that, but instead people rather joke about it. I'm just saying, you know, that's just my take on it. Like, I don't think, like, yes, of course, it's a way more minuscule problem than Naruto ever had, but it's still a problem. So just thought I'd throw that in there. And I mean, it was great to see that. Again, I'm glad it didn't last the whole episode, because I thought I was coming into just, hey, the Naruto OVA, they just replayed it and shit like that, which for the most part, it was like almost scene by scene. They added a couple things. I don't believe in the OVA, little Iwabe was in the crowd and shit like that, so that's something that I think was added in there, a change, so to speak. But I mean, it also gave the origins of Himawari with the Byakugan, which really makes me hopeful that she's going to be relevant in the future of this series and going to be possibly a fighter, maybe in a time skip or so. Like, I'm hoping we have at least 2 time skips. I'm hoping we have a time skip that they're a little bit older and Himawari's maybe at the academy at that point and she's kicking ass, and then we get that other time skip where we saw Boruto with, you know, that Kawaki guy or whatever, and we get to see her as an adult, because this episode sets up nicely. She could be a force to be reckoned with. Now, obviously, it was mainly for comedic purposes why she was able to knock out Naruto. You even see her knock out the Kyuubi and shit like that. It was a gag moment or whatever, but nonetheless, it does show that, yo, she could be like the female Gohan of Boruto. You know what I'm saying? When she gets crazy mad about some shit, she could really let loose and be stronger than possibly even Boruto. So I appreciated the first half. Again, it was a rewatch essentially, but it was a skimmed down version, and it was nice also to see Naruto's life before becoming Hokage, just before, like, you know, dude was out drinking with the boys, cracking cold ones with the boys. Like, that kind of had me like, yo, Naruto, you was chill, even though you was a lightweight, you was getting fucked up, probably had like 1 cup of sake and was passed the fuck out and shit like that. But it was nice to see Naruto in his daily life. And again, this episode works more because we know about Naruto, we know about Shino, and oh god, Kiba. Whoa! Oh, I guess at the end of the day, being 100%, this is what a character becomes when, you know, he stopped getting development at the end of part 1, you know what I'm saying? So all he can be is just a fucking idiot there. He's like, you know, I let him become Hokage. I'm like, so fuck Kiba, of course. But again, really cool moment there. Second half of the episode, I felt more, even though the first half, if you didn't see the day Naruto became Hokage OVA or read the manga version of it, you would like that shit too. It's just that this is my third time experiencing the content, and I was like, whatever, okay, it's fine. Second half though, it was brand new content, and just seeing the little moments, the little interactions with Boruto and Naruto, it's funny, because Boruto's personality is a typical anime personality, but it's not necessarily for, you know, their father. He essentially acts like a tsundere, and a tsundere usually is like a female that acts like a bitch towards a guy, even though she really likes him, but she still snubs him all the time. Essentially, that's what Boruto acts like for his father, but again, it's understandable if you have all the context before it. Like, again, the first half of the episode sets up that he really loved being with his dad. It was awesome to him, and now that he doesn't have him, he's kind of like, man, I want to be with my father. And of course, he's probably going through those awkward years too of like growing up, and it's like, oh, that's my corny old man and stuff like that. So Boruto is going through a lot more than just the average kid in Konoha, I guess you could say. So that's why he's feeling the way he's feeling. But the nice little bonding moments, and you know, as a fan of the franchise, being around it for so many years, watching it, reading it and shit like that, it's crazy just to see Naruto sitting there with his son and trying to bond with him, trying to figure out how can he change the situation that his son is kind of like a dick to him in a way because he's not around. So you get a nice little moment there, and I love the moment where he envisions himself when he was little by himself eating the ramen, and it all goes full circle. Again, the context of having so many years of content before this really helps this episode out. You know, just seeing the flash of all the kids eating ramen there back in the day. It reminds you of some of the good old days of Naruto and some of the sad days of Naruto when he didn't have nobody, when he was just completely alone, no one gave a fuck about him, and he was just trying to get a bowl of ramen and get on with his day. So really enjoyed that piece of the episode. And I mean, as a whole, the episode, it did some pretty damn good things. It showed a little bit more of Boruto, like, he just wants his dad, you know, and we've of course figured that, but seeing it more in motion and in action and shit like that, it was nice to see. I mean, and you know, you get those moments sometimes, especially if you've ever been in a situation like Boruto where you see Choji and Chocho come in and they're bonding and they're really having a great time, and it's like, why can't I have that? You know what I'm saying? So I get the Boruto character. I wish a lot of people would give him a little less slack. And it's like, you know, for example, some old lady just got robbed in the street, you know, punched in the face, and they took her purse, right? Bad problem. I hate when people say, well, there's kids starving in Africa. Yes, that's a worse problem. That's absolutely a worse problem. Doesn't take away from the fact that that old lady just got punched in the fucking face and robbed. I'm just saying. Really curious what a lot of you people thought about this episode, though. How did you feel about the first half? Again, if you've seen the day Naruto became Hokage, the OVA, where you're not feeling it because it was a rewatch, although there was some interesting little tiny changes here or there, again, seeing Wabe in the crowd, which I believe, again, he wasn't in the OVA, if I'm mistaken, forgive me, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't in there because I don't think he was even thought of at that particular point. What do you think about it? How do you feel about a skimmed down version of it? How did you feel seeing Himawari? Do you think that this is possibly, potentially, a good setup for Himawari to really be relevant at some given point as either a fighter or just some cool ass chick? Oh, before I forget, because I was getting to the question portion of my video and shit, but Hinata, between one throwing Boruto and Naruto the fuck out the house, love that moment. Just seeing more adult Hinata, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it was Naruto-kun. Now it's like, get the fuck out of here. You're gonna make mad noise. Get out of here. So love that moment, and of course seeing her being like the ramen queen and shit, I was like, hey, it was nice to see a little more sides of Hinata, because again, she hasn't been the most diverse character in the world. Her character essentially was mainly like, hey, I like Naruto. So seeing different sides to her now, a little bit nice, getting a little more set up into her character as well, even though I doubt she's going to be that relevant and, you know, going forward, because it's not about the older cast, it's about the newer cast. Also, what do you think about the second half of the episode, seeing Boruto and Naruto getting to bond a little bit and seeing a little bit more of their relationship in action and the little flashes? Again, it hit me in the feels, because you come from seeing this kid being shit and nothing. Now he's a proud father. He's going back to the spot where he first started by himself. Really touching moments there. And your overall thoughts of the episode. I thought it was a lot better. I'll say, like, it shits on last week's episode. I did not like last week's episode at all. And the episode 2 weeks before that, or yeah, 2 weeks before this episode, it was okay, but I still prefer this episode much more because got a lot of years of content that leads up to this point. and you got Naruto, and it focused mainly on Naruto and Boruto and their relationship, and that's some of the good stuff of Boruto when you're not getting into really big action pieces or a really big story. I enjoyed it. You know, overall thoughts of the episode. That's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And again, got Boruto some slack. I get it. He's annoying. In the future, he won't be as annoying, but he's annoying, but it's still a problem he's dealing with. He wants his dad back. Nothing wrong with that. Have an awesome one, people.